Right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Ungurs and Kevin in their quarterfinal engagements of the Esports Grand Tour Season 3 Two Town Centres tourney. A Haudenosaunee mirror on Cascade Range. I know this is Kevin's main squeeze, but Ungurs has felt comfortable here to kind of mirror Kevin in Kevin's best civilization. Interesting, we're starting to see a bit more variety in civs being played. Ungurs is moving to the mid-map. So is Kevin there, but actually, Kevin's gone for the crack shot. Ungurs there for the steal. That is so kind of Kevin there. I guess it makes sense to run into the middle of the map. There is a TC nearby, and that will provide so much line of sight to kind of uncover where nearby treasures are. So yeah, line of sight. Okay, it's not as big as I assumed it would have been, but the idea still remains. But looks like Kevin get on top of Ungurs' Explorer first. Ungurs went for the steal, but now that Kevin went for the first engagement, when it's going to, both players actually exchange. But the actual HP here between both players is essentially the same, and I think Ungurs is trying to trade off rifle shots while Kevin's just going for melee, and the HP is so close behind us. Okay, now Ungurs is starting to fall behind. There was a time where he was slightly ahead, but I think he's just waiting to pull back and maybe get a bit of a villager fire on this as well. We do see both players dropping down docks behind us. I think I saw Kevin go for a dock. Yeah, there's his dock behind. Let's take off the fog of war. And it'll be interesting to see what the deck's like. Okay, so Ungurs really wants to snare Kevin here. I don't actually feel that going this deep is what he wants. So yes, now Ungurs has got the snare. I'm surprised we might see 10 villagers popping in just to get some damage off. But Ungurs looks like he's actually happy to let Kevin go and so he can get on with his own work. But Kevin's come back for some more. If you lose an Explorer here, it's 100 XP. It is absolutely huge, especially on a map with 0 trading posts. But I felt a little bit risky. Maybe Kevin's just trying to bait out Ungurs wasting villager seconds. I don't know. But we have villagers sharing the same hunt patch underneath the town centre. We did talk about the idea of villagers underneath the town centre. So you've got to be very considerate. Okay, Yuki. Okay, makes sense. It looked like the order you had set the Rex up was different to what the order this was set up, so I just had to follow your line of inquiry there. I couldn't quite remember what was going on. Now you say that, it kind of makes sense. But, oh well, it doesn't matter. Three fishing boats here for Ungurs, 2 for Kevin. Looks like the angle that Kevin's gone for this fishing boat and dock on the coastlines kind of slowed him down in comparison to the position where Ungurs has gone for. You can see where he's gone for essentially the piece of land closest to the town centre to minimise that walking time, to kind of speed up that process of the dock being built and the fishing boats being produced afterwards. Both players happy to exchange the hunting here. Both players are fighting to try and herd the animals back to their town centre, and if anything, Ungurs could be really cheeky and just kill. I think he'd be better. I think he'd do well if he just killed all these elks on this side. That way, it would force Kevin into over here. So if anybody wants to try and get villagers into the town centre and trade fire, Ungurs is right underneath his town centre. He can do that, and Kevin has to make a conscious decision. Okay, here comes the herd in here for Kevin. Will Ungurs react first? He's got to do it now. Oh, where was Kevin going to shoot there? Oh, come on, Ungurs. You don't let him go back. And the fight for the animals continues. Interesting that he didn't actually want to kill that one in the middle, but it's going to be... I feel like Ungurs right now is going to see this and go for it. Oh, no, Kevin. Kevin's on the ball, and the epic tug of war is going to go ahead. Maybe a bit too keen there. Maybe my Rex going just that slightly bit slower than I thought. I counted 12 seconds there, but maybe Kevin only counted 11. Some walling in between the town centres. Yes, that would be great, wouldn't it? The thing is, there's 6 vills here, and like I say... once you get to that magic 9, how many is 145 is 15? Yeah, 16. When you have 8 vills, they two when you have 8 vills, they 2 shot, and yeah, that's the first villager going down here. One more shot coming behind. Oh, it's just about survives. I think both players have let each other know that town centres on top of each other is probably not what they want to happen. Okay, Kevin aging up here with the messenger Ungurs, is he going up fast as well? I think he's going with the chieftain here. A little bit slower. Yeah, chief going for the extra villagers. Warhawk going straight down here for Kevin mid-map to try and fortify this position. Let's look at both players' decks. So Ungurs has gone for double villager cards in age 2. Triple crates. He's missing infantry HP in the second age. I want to say that there's another 6-800 card he could have had in there. Apart from that, looking standard, apart from the 11 halberdiers in the third age, that's a bit of an interesting card, maybe a bit of a meme, considering that the Dutch get an 8 halberdier card for free, but to get 11 Dutch halberdiers from era to pay 500 gold is rather expensive, whereas like the 5 cuirassiers is like quite a big improvement over the 3 for the French. Quite interesting there. Kevin, his deck, single villager card. He's actually going for 5 vills first, double crates. Yeah, he's just essentially trading infantry HP there for 4 villagers. We'll see if that difference actually comes to fruition in this game. Go on, check the fishing boats economy here. Kevin's still at 3 fishing boats. Ungurs still at 3 fishing boats. I think it's just a little bit of supplementary food, but not looking to invest any more than he needs to. Warhawk being built here by the wagon, looks like. Explorer out to get a crack shot. Away from Kevin's Warhawk though. Once this Warhawk gets built, it could do some good damage. That Tomahawk's looking quite low. A couple of villagers could go and actually in this town centre just try and pick off these Tomahawks. Every little helps in these engagements, and I think TC Fire can do can be very effective in this situation. Eero scouting party does come out with an Explorer snare in 5 Tomahawks to 1, getting the stagger formation to protect himself from the shotgun ability there from Kevin's Explorer. This local trade, Ungurs is taking a bit of advantage, but Kevin with the fast age up, he calls his second shipment in a little bit faster, and should be able to clean this one up. Ungurs does have a shipment. He did open up with 600 wood first, so he does have the stable available. He's trading a Kanya behind this. Wood is on the floor, not actually being gathered yet. All his villagers near the town centre. You can just tell he's just focused on his micro to try and extract the maximum value he can. So 1 Kanya, 1 Tomahawk in Q4. Kanya's being queued up now. I wonder if Ungurs has timed this so that the 4 Kanyas and the Tomahawks would time at the same time. Look, he's going to try and catch his Kanyas here. He's got a Kanya about to pop. 3, 4, maybe 4. No, he's housed, but still 3 4 HP Kanyas. Villagers get to the town centre, and if one gets snared, that's going to be pretty disastrous there for Kevin. Back in the middle. Much happening? No. Just staring each other down. Kevin looking to go north to try and save his Kanyas. Wacky saying, is this the old version or new version? This is the definitive edition. This is the new game released at the end of 2020, possibly? Yeah, it was 2020. Really good game. Highly recommend it. And we've got some small scale community tournaments ongoing at the moment. We've got the ESOP Grand Tour, UEC Spring Cup's just finished. We've got the Royal 2v2 Clash. We've got the DM Community 2v2 Bash. We've got... Anytime I stream, I get bashed. So there's lots of tournaments happening on to investigate. A lot of berry gathering here from Kevin. Has he not scouted his hunts to the northern side? Let's have a look from his point of view. And he does have some visual on the elks, but that's a lot of villagers be chilling on berries with no spice trade or any upgrades to go with that. Decent amount of hunt behind his base. I know that won't last forever. Kanya's coming in for a nice raid. A little bit more infantry here for Kevin than Ungurs, but the Kanyas should be able to move in, move out whenever he needs. Yeah, Tom's just getting out there. He doesn't want to overcommit this, it seems. I wonder actually who wins this local fight. I want to say with Micro, it's going to be a Kevin fight. These ANs are going to put in so much work with the Tomahawks. I think Ungurs realizes he's a little bit too deep, so he's just going to back out and retreat home. Kevin's build order, remember, was 600 wood, 4 Kanyas, 5 villas came in afterwards, 39 villagers. Meanwhile, Ungurs, yeah, it was 600 wood, 4 Kanyas, 5 villas, whereas Kevin's was 5 villas. Oh, I'm going to guess 4 Kanyas, then 600 wood. Yeah, the wood came down only quite late then, still being gathered up. Decent mass here from Ungurs pushing down onto the southern side of the map, going around the Klamath. It's very interesting to know that the Eero infantry cards benefit all infantry, including native warriors, so it could be a nice little addition on a map like Cascade Range to go for the Klamath and the Nuka. Klamath is your kind of skirmisher style unit, which you can see this is near a full musketeer mass army in the H2, so it could work quite well. Kevin's more cannons there, essentially being funded by the 600 wood shipments, which is very nice. Nice little play. 7 AN has now been sent behind. Kanya still in queue. I think Ungurs could queue up a Tomahawk or an AN if he likes, but I want to say he's going to prioritise this Kanya batch as much as he can. He will go for the 4th one here, I assume. Does have enough food for continuing the villager production? I think that's the key thing, is to see how the villager eco is keeping up. Ungurs, 50 villagers. Let's look at Kevin. Kevin's at 42. How was he down by 8 villagers? I think he lost a vill underneath the town centre fire, but I guess it's just great villager production is just a key point in a game like this. There's the 7 AN has been sent there from... Well, Kevin's just arrived. Kevin's shipment of... I also gone for 7 ANs. I think both players have gone for 7 ANs. I'm trying to cast a mirror matchup. It's actually quite confusing. The only thing to differentiate is the little name bar at the top right of the screen. And it's really hard to see in the fog what's going on. Let's try and go over this point of view. What I just see is native warriors on both sides of the trees fighting through. Tomahawks flying everywhere. Kanya's really find it hard to engage. The path blocking around the trees, the longhouse, the stable, quite tough. Defensive town building height, fire from the wall is proving pretty pivotal. With another batch of units here from Kevin's train on top of this era army, could be quite decisive. Kanya reinforcements from Ungurs coming from the northern side, but it looks like Ungurs is going to try and back out here. I didn't like that engagement angle. I think Ungurs realised that as well. He just wants to try and keep some sort of mass behind. Army composition here, 5 cav, 9 bows, 16 tomahawks. Ungurs here, 9 cav, 9 tomahawks, 15 ANs. Overall, going for having more cav, more ANs actually might be more useful than having mass tomahawks in that situation. More micro capability with an army like that from Ungurs' point of view. Ungurs now sending in tomahawks. Don Stowe has invited me to a match. Go away, Don Stowe. Can you not see I'm busy right now? Go away. I don't play deathmatch at the moment. Batch of Kanyas, ANs. Now, here's the 7 AN shipment here from Kevin. Looks like Kevin went for 6 Tomahawks previously. Now here's the AN. And this is a really close game. It does seem the army size might be a little bit bigger there for Kevin. 110 population. Ungurs is 122, but I think 12 of that, well, 7 of that is villagers. So Ungurs has statistically the bigger army. Neither player sending any combat cards just yet, it seems. I don't remember if they're called the Samurais or the Japans, lol. Oh, that's a comment. I assume you're not a native English speaker, but yeah, the civilization is the Japanese, and they train the units, the Samurai. A very strong melee unit. Okay, a couple cav here from Kevin moving across the front line, trying to draw fire away from Kevin's bows, but if anything, Kanya's, with cavalry, you'd rather have them do something than just tanking damage. Tomahawks moving forward to try and push them back. ANs are working their way. Both players got explorers buffing HP here. And it's just a right mess this fight is. But it looks like enough cavalry here from Ungurs is there. The cavalry line from Kevin's gone down, which now means it's just Tomahawks in the front line. They're going to get chomped up by the ANs. More cavalry from behind. And actually, the amount of Tomahawks here from Kevin's probably not enough to deal with all this. Nice hammer and anvil strikes from double flank cavalry positions. And the Tomahawk's pretty much gone. There's still going to be 5 cannons remaining. Let's look at Kevin's point of view. Does have 1 reinforcements. Another batch of cannons, hoping to get another 4 here. There's still a couple of Tomahawks remaining. And it's just an absolute mess. Trade-off. Shotgun gets denied there. Ungurs picking off the Explorer before the special attack goes off. That's an extra 100 XP. Ungurs Explorer up to 300 HP. Pretty still looking good. There's the 2 cannons. These are crucial units in this end stage of the fight, because they just have to bait away all these Tomahawks away. And is not doing too much damage, but there's going to be a little bit more. Kevin's army still looks to be pretty decent here. All things considered, 21 bows compared to Ungurs' 25. But there's the reinforcement. 6? 5? I'm going to say 5. At the end, it looks like honours were even in terms of numbers, but we've got to go back to the economy. Ungurs, 65 villagers here. Kevin at 57. Kevin's maintained his villager production ever since, but getting off that rocky start, it's kind of hurt him a little bit. Both players here likely to send conservative tactics, going for the combat card. Kevin send the combat card. Ungurs is... Oh my god! Oh wow, why would you do that? Okay, Ungurs has got new ways instead of conservative tactics, so he's traded off Age 2 infantry combat for the ability to get some arsenal techs, which he can get in Age 2, but he hasn't really got any rifle infantry for counter infantry rifling, and Tomahawks don't really benefit too much from the socket bayonet because, well, they're beast as it is. I don't even think they can get socket bayonet because I want to say that even though they're musketeer style units, I think because they wield an axe, it's not really a musket to upgrade. That's an interesting card. I don't really like that decision at all there from Ungurs in this matchup. But I suppose this is his general 1 versus 1 deck and nothing too specified for the mirror matchup. But quite often you do see like conservative tactics and the new ways together. But yeah, infantry attack over 10% combat for Aenas and Tomahawk is probably not what he wants in the next fight coming in. Yeah, Tomahawks and Aenas combat cut. Kevin's units are so much stronger now. So when the next fight comes in, Kevin may be able to clinch it. War Chief is about to get revived at 4 HP. That's very, very nice. Meanwhile, Ungurs still looking for this H2 brawl. Oh, it's just such a game-changing moment that is to not have that card in. Yeah, no, New Ways helps with Age 3 cavalry upgrades like the Cavalry Cuirass and Ranged Cavalry Caracol, but in Aero Mirror, not too sure we're getting there. Fight's happening. There's a lot of Aenas here. Kanya's moving down to the southern flank, trying to engage with the Kanya Horsemen, but as the Tomahawks move forward, they're just going to get opened up there for Aenas. Here is Explorer for both players within the fight, buffing all the HP. This fight looking to be going very well for Kevin, actually. It must be said, this combat card is starting to work really well. And actually, Ungurs is trying to pull back all those Kanyas away from the whole Tomahawks and Kanyas. And it's very interesting to see that Ungurs here has not gone for the Tomahawk option, or he's not really majoring in Tomahawks. He's going for kind of Cav Aena composition, where Kevin's really gone. It's kind of doing a bit of everything, but I want to say he's going for more of a heavy impetus there of the Tomahawks, because he must have went into that battle with about 15 to 20 of those units, and they're still chasing the cavalry away. Those Aenas can't do anything, so the Aenas are going to move away from Kevin's Aena mass. He's actually sacrificing his hero to snare that little party, but once the Tomahawks go down, the Kanyas beats the other Kanyas here, and actually then it's just pure cavalry on top of a whole mass of Aenas. He's running towards the Ungurs' base, obviously his own base as well. Another Kanya batch coming in behind. This is where the economy is starting to really shine here for Ungurs, and the fact that he's actually trying to extend that fight instead of just slamming it all in and just trying to trade off as fast as possible. He's actually got time to wait for reinforcements, and his reinforcements so much larger than Kevin's. Kevin, 110 population. Ungurs here, 118 population, just slightly ahead. Now sending in wood economy. 20% 24 vils. That's going to be about a 5 vil card. Very, very nice. One of these already got lumber ceremony. That's like his income. No, he hasn't researched the tech here from the market. Berries is a slow gather right there. There's some hunts over here which he could move out to take, but most of the other hunts pretty much already taken. Fishing boats are still going on. 3 fishing boats apiece. Neither player wanting to increase that. I suppose the food there is very limited, so it doesn't make too much more sense. Evolution asking how they got the two town centres. I'm like, oh come on, Eva, you're the man who knows everything. Yeah, I think he got confused because this is not an actual official mod or a map. This is a custom map, a custom game mode designed for this event. So thank Vivily for that one. I just love this community plaza right next to the berries. And I think the same here for Kevin. Kevin's put the community plaza at home, but he knows there's a tin mine nearby. He's got the villagers. Looks like neither player has mined a single bit of gold in this game, which makes sense because no unit in Age 2 even costs gold. And the only upgrade which really costs gold is the hunting dogs in the wood, but you probably have enough gold on the floor to get the hunting dogs in that sense. There you go. There's the food upgrade there from Ungurs. The fact that he actually managed to afford build a farm is actually not questionable, but it's like, oh wow, he does actually have the economy there. There's the 4 villas coming in. 87 villagers now for Ungurs. Kevin at 77. That 4 vill card now starting to really pay off. It's just come in, but it's just increases the lead ever so much. 0.5 wood per second for those vills. These are 0.6 wood per second. Farm Tech now provides a food bonus for his berry gatherers as well. So these guys are getting 0.74 instead of 0.67. So Ungurs' economy is starting to work that a little bit more for him. He's starting to get a bit more return. A lot of it just down to the south side of his berries though. Has he seen this? Has he seen this? No, he hasn't. Well, he might have. Is he just guessing? I think he's guessing. Has Kevin pulled back? He's putting them back now. And that would have been an absolute mega raid if those villagers did not realise that raid was coming. As it is, they should be able to get back to safety, but that's a lot of idle villagers. And Kevin's army will have to get pulled back here to try and move to the same position. Okay, 2 farms have been thrown down now because he has to realise he's out of berries. He has to transition to farms. He's been denied this side of the map, which is where all the berries and hunt remain for Kevin. Scores looking good for Ungurs here, but otherwise it's a bit tight. War Dance is in for Ungurs, but it's only a couple vills dancing. Just enough to plant that seed of doubt into Kevin's mind about how much dancing is going on, let's say. Yeah, Kevin's actually fully out of resources. There was a berry patch here. There was a berry patch here. He ate his hunt at the top. That's just now finished. He is now having to hard transition into farms, it looks like. Another wall hut being thrown down defensively. But all this berries and hunts available here from Ungurs at the top. If he wanted to go for it, these villagers are so close to it. They're so close to go onto this extra resource. He hasn't looked for it. But he does have 62 villagers on food. He's got so much income. He's got so much economy. He's now driving ahead of the score. 5,000 in the lead. Pushing into Kevin's base. Kevin doesn't really want to fight this because he knows he can't win the fight. He actually hasn't got enough anti-cav versus all his canyons apart from his own canyons here. Population of Ungurs, max population. Kevin, 155. Not even close to max pop. The community plazas haven't been built elsewhere. That's not available to go online just yet. And actually, Ungurs here looking to take down the infrastructure before the main fight going in. So we'll take down 1 house and 1 stable. So he realises no more canyons coming in. And if the house goes down, his population blocked. 155 population still for Kevin. Ungurs have gone down a little bit to 193. A little bit of residual losses there from the Aenas. But he should be able just to slam it in now and take a positive trade. Obviously, this is a tournament game. He may not feel very comfortable in doing this. But I think Kevin's realised he has to take the fight now. 17 dancers on that fire pit. Going to Ungurs' point of view, he's got the full 25. So 31, 313, 313, 34. You can see just the extra attack here from the Canyons are starting to really show for it. Tearing through Kevin's army. Ungurs is pulling back. I think he just needs to stand and fight. Just stand and fight everywhere. Tomahawk's getting involved though. Lost a lot of anti-cav here. These guys probably in melee mode. Yep, they're all in melee. And the Aeons just trading off against each other. Infantry attack card versus infantry combat. You see just maybe better stats there for... Wow, 151 HP Aeons in comparison. Obviously that's War Chief, Infantry HP and Infantry combat there for Kevin. But the cav fight is where it's at. Once the cavalry goes down, remember the stable's gone down here for Kevin. There's no cavalry reinforcements. The cows just go straight onto the Aeons. And yeah, that was obviously a great fight there for Ungurs, trading off a better population army than himself. And wins the game. What a great game that was. Ungurs taking the first game in his best of 3 series versus Kevin. That's just in the right side of my earphone because that unit's over to my right. Oh, to the left. In the center. To the right. To the left. To the right. It's like an ASMR channel. This is. Can you hear that? Ah, there you go. Beautiful. What a game that was. I can't want to see where this villager discrepancy came in. Was just maybe a bit of lax training. One vill did go down in the transition. Might have been here. A slight indication that when one town centre was aging up, Kevin had forgot to utilise the second town centre to his advantage. That might be the case. Early 5 vills. Wow, the early 5 villagers is just there just to catch up to the same villager population for Ungurs as that. So it's kind of like trading a no shipment for that. That's a tough one there. 5 villas from Ungurs afterwards after the early exchanges. He's just continuously ahead for the rest of the game in that sense. Probably the biggest discrepancy, maybe around about here, 61 to 69. Always up ahead by about 6-7 villas, and we'll probably see that being shown in the all resources gathered. Yeah, it's a little bit. But at the end, it's just the difference is staggering. I don't really know how. I suppose as resources dried up there for Kevin, Ungurs had the infrastructure already down, but he was still out on the map gathering berries. There was a lot of berries over here. He had a little bit of farm gathering, but more importantly, he got the text there for the berries. So even these guys here gathering 0.84 food per second is actually really decent. So he's gone for the second food upgrade there from the farm. These guys are still chilling. Shame he missed out on all his hunts at the top side. Wood upgrades there from the shipment hasn't gone for the market tech yet, but essentially villager lead and tech lead. Whereas Kevin was trying to transition, only had the 2 farms in the end, or 3 farms. Otherwise, just was a bit struggling. So yeah, well played. Let's look at the military population here. Just close game. It's just close game for the entire game. That is. I think that kind of lends itself when you fight underneath the kind of same amount of buildings as well, but any stragglers do get picked off. But I wouldn't be surprised that's going to be game of the tournament, really. Right, let's see what the next game is going to be. Alright, let's do it. Oh, wow. So, this is strange because, okay, the previous game we casted with the Yucati versus Vitamins, these 2 temples were, when the Sufi wasn't here, but the kind of the orientation of the temples was the same here, but the rest of the map has just been, like, rotated 90 degrees. It looks like the middle plateau's just been, like, held in place and the entire map on the side's being rotated. Maybe it's just a little minor thing, but I've just noticed. I was like, oh, I've just seen that. Alright, guys, this is 2 town centre action between Kevin and Ungurs, game number 2 in their quarter-final. French versus India on Deccan. Now, we have seen India being played in the Cascade range, but India, 2 town centres, villagers costing 100 wood. Is this the right play from Kevin? He's got to make this work. Needs to take this quite long for the economists to kind of overtake here from India, but I just feel that the French is a slightly smarter pick here. Interesting though, Ungurs has retreated his town centre off the plateau and onto the lowland. Maybe Ungurs here is afraid of keeping that town centre nearby an Indian agri fort mid-map. Maybe CDBs in the town centre is wasted time compared to just Indian villagers into a town centre. India gets an extra villagers there from the shipments as well, so you can't really win a villager in the town centre war. So Ungurs has very decisively early on decided he wants to kind of back away from the plateau, and Kevin's saying thank you very much, I'm going to take your hunt for myself, and he's just securing this entire mid-map for himself. Very nice to see. Ungurs working with an 80 coin. He does have the market there. There's another crate of gold to be gathered. He's kind of left 50 of that remaining. He might finish it up. Because the thing is, if he got one more bit of wood and gathered this treasure coin, he's got this treasure there. We might buy the market again. 1 wood coming in. 1 wood, it has come in. Second training post going to be built. And that's nice to see. That is just using the market and starting crates to your advantage. 4 water buffalo as well is a nice little advantage. I think versus India, 2 elephant explorers, that's worth taking. And oh, hello, what's happened here? Kevin's explorer is taking a little bit of a nap. That's interesting. I didn't actually realise that the explorer laid on top of the elephant on its side. I thought the elephant falls over and the explorer was on the, falling off the other side, if you know what I mean. But what was he taking? He must have taken a big treasure for that. Kevin, 120 wood. That's 3 tigers, that is. But 120 wood is a significant treasure to go for. Ungurs here going 3 CDB into economic theory. Makes full sense here with a double trading post on a can start with double TC production. You got to remember that with 2 town centres, you're going to have so much more experience coming in from your extra villager production, and there's more villagers to benefit from Eco Theory. So I think Eco Theory here is a good card to go for, and I think it is part of the meta. I've just dropped something, but I'll look for it after this game. I don't know, actually. It's just something I was just messing around with. 75 wood treasure being taken by Ungurs, so good treasures on the top. Meanwhile, Kevin's staying into the middle, and that's going to be a 55 food. Almost was about to say 70, but that's the former CAC treasure there. Probably age up here with the quartermaster. Can he go for this training post? You know what? I think he can. I think he can do it. Is he going to try and do it? He's got one. He's mined a bit more gold. He's got one more corn crate to gather up, and that could be enough for him to get what he needs. He does have the tiger treasure nearby. I don't think he's got the crack shot. It'll be interesting to know if he can do it. And Kevin's gone for Carney Martyr in base. Okay, there's a lot of trees. Obviously, the gold mine there. You can herd in the elephant. Still has the starting hunt. That will gather reach the berries as well. So it's a very good wander in terms of placement for what it can gather. But is the Carney Martyr what he wants in this situation? I guess it might be. I think maybe Kevin just wants this to go long. I think he realises the longer he can take this, the better he will be in this situation. We'll have to find out. Okay, Ungurs does have more than 200 wood available, so you can try and see if he can take this. I imagine he's tried, and hasn't quite worked for him. In the sense that he could go for the 3TB stagecoach to kind of divert some of those Indian military units in the second age. Villager production is going on. Going for the full CDB here. He's actually invested quite a lot of resources into his Marketechs, into his second training post, into other stuff. But if he did go for that 700 gold first, I don't think he would get up straight away. He's still chopping quite a bit of this wood in his 2. So maybe is he actually anticipating a bow pike play? There's no gold really being mined behind this, so maybe second rack's going to be built behind this. Explorer's moving around. That's another 50 food treasure he's going to take. He might have crack shotted the one in base, then gone and worked on this one. Interesting to see what Ungurs' game plan is. Yeah, there is a crossbow being trained. So a batch of 5 crossbows to be used defensively. But so Ungurs did see the defensive Carney Martyr. So does he actually need to train a batch of crossbows? I would suggest if I saw the Carney Martyr, I would assume that no, I wouldn't need to train any early units. Bit of housing here though. Okay, house being built, and I'm sure village production will continue. 700 wood being sent first into export. Somewhat surprised it wasn't foreign logging. I suppose that the export there will give him the 4 villagers and a bit more kind of H2 military tempo with the Ottoman Hussars as well at a later point. But just these double woods, so expensive to keep your villager production going. One villager going to get picked off there for 1 crossbow tree pathing. Could have just killed another crossbow. He's actually going to try and pick off 1 sepoy, but in the end can't quite manage it. But if that's the only trading that's going to happen in the second age, I think Ungurs will be mighty fine with that. 700 would come in behind. He's going for a full batch. He is staying here in the second age. I suppose with a double town centre, it might be, it's just too hard to amass the resources to age while producing villagers. So he's just kind of, instead of having to think about trying to go to the next stage, he's just got to keep his resources spent, keep his macro nice and tight, and be in a good position coming through. Full batch of crossbows being built here. So I suppose it's a bit of a biased point of view, but when I'm playing versus India, where I'm usually playing as the Dutch point of view, India usually opens up with a stable. So Kevin opening up with a Vrax is a bit interesting, but here come the 4 sours. I'm surprised there's no pikes here to anticipate this. The 4 sours card into bow pike is just business as usual. These guys just devour crossbows. Easy 3-hit kills, it looks like. Very, very strong play behind there. Can we get a double Minutemen pop under these town centres? This could be huge, a Minutemen underneath. This would be a great trade. And these sepoys just so out of position. Musk's about to pop, but a Minutemen batch could have cleaned this. Utterly cleaned this and allowed Ungurs to age up nice and safe there. Surprised he didn't do that. But maybe he didn't feel that he needed to do that. And maybe he was waiting for Kevin to come back with a larger mass. That's more sours being trained. Yeah, so that's the stable sours being produced. That first batch was the shipment sours. Meanwhile, these two trading posts working really well here for Ungurs. Kevin not able to get onto the trading line, having to spend all those extra Deccan crates just on villager production, just to keep into the economic game, it seems. Yeah, Ungurs is aging up now. He's actually eating his water buffalo, so it's always good to see players remembering to eat their livestock. There's a lot of hunt being gathered on the eastern side of the map. That's nice to see. Age up coming behind here, and should be looking good. Remember, the Age of Empires cardinal sin is to push while aging, and Ungurs is going to sit back in base just for a little bit. Doesn't need to push too far. I'm sure after this he's looking to go into a skirm goon. I feel that Musketeers is a bit awkward versus India, considering they have sepoys, Gurkhas, a whole bunch of Minutemen options available. I suppose Musketeers are great versus Sours, but you just don't quite win the Musketeer war. Obviously, veteran Musketeers are stronger than colonial sepoys, but the skirm goon kind of give you that range. Kevin's going back in. Kevin's staying with this kind of Age 2 play, and he's got a bit of a timing window. 700 gold coming behind. Very balanced eco behind this. Unclear whether this is just to mass lots of units or whether he's actually going to maybe try and get a tech. Join with him into the third age to get his on veteran units, but he's really got a side now. He's very decisive whether he's aging or whether he's pushing now. The fact that he's still at the plateau, I think he's just sitting back. Yeah, we see that the macro is now starting to go a bit more food heavy in his favour. Yeah, those guys going on to the gold crates behind this. Water buffaloes obviously can't eat them as India. Get the experience from them, but this is just delayed. Everything here just feels a bit sluggish. Maybe Kevin was hoping that Ungurs would continue his H2 play, and that was reaction to all those crossbows he'd seen, but Ungurs' sudden stop and into the age up may have caught him off guard. 4 tigers guarding 180 coin. Tough treasure that for 180 coin. Considering the days there used to be like 3 wolves guarding 150 gold. But imagine to get that. Ungurs, couple residual musketeers. There's the goons. There's the 2 falcon shipment. And it's just good play here from Ungurs. Usually I'll be a bit more attentive, maybe waiting for a second shipment. But I think Ungurs realised the power spike that 2 falconets and a couple veteran dragoons has already. It's just going to go straight in. Goons next shipment, they'll be able to reinforce really, really early. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a cheeky Minutemen pop here just to kind of help reinforce very strong, kind of stronger veteran style musketeer units coming in. Food income looking a little bit tough here at the moment. A lot of hunts to the top side. His village has kind of naturally gone down to the south. He may want to split some off up there. Falcon is slow pushing the racks. There's the 5 goons out. Goon batch has finished as well, 15 dragoons. And out of nowhere, it just seems like Ungurs have got a really strong, well-balanced Age 3 army. Only 6 skirms, but it still has the 12 crossbows, and they'll trade very well versus the Gurkhas. Falconet's slow pushing the buildings. His target is the town centre. Right, India's age up is down. It's nearly built behind this. Charminar Gate will come up with the 1 Mahout's unit on the age up. Will he try and put the Mahout out from this town centre? It's so tempting. Look at the skirms and cannon from here. It's so tempting. Does he have a Minutemen pops available? If he can go with Minutemen, you call it now. Minutemen being called. Mahout coming out. Age up's in. And Ungurs is a bit out of position here. There's the heavy cavalry. And here's the cavalry charge. There's the Minutemen as well. The Mahout's just going straight here for the Falconet. And just the Minutemen, the pikes can just touch anything they like. Now that the goons have to kind of fend off the Mahout, they have to kind of stand still. And that just allows all these cavalry to get in. Oh, it's a bloodbath this is. Oh my god. Sao is just touching these crossbows and they melt. Sepoy is behind. But I think what Ungurs has done here is he's realised, okay, there's a cavalry charge coming. I may lose my skirmishers, I may lose my falcons. Let's keep the goons alive though. Let's keep kiting and let's keep working the advantage there. And that was not what Ungurs wanted, but he's somewhat recovered a position from there. Some idle wheels down here from Kevin. Shaman saying he should probably go for the Sufi techs. Well, remember the fasten goats are based by time, and it's not that far into the game, so it's only 5 fasten goats. Goats for XP. I mean, the thing is, for this tech, it's so much better if you're able to eat these 5 goats and get them, than instead of being in this point of view. I'd rather be French, get these goats, eat them to jump to the Industrial Age, or just spam out units. The other cards here, CDB limit and Villager Eco, also great cards of both, so it's probably better from French again. Okay, Mahouts onto the Falconets. More Falconets to train from the Artillery Foundry, and once again, Artillery being sacrificed just to allow the Dragoons unhindered shots on these very tanky Mahout units, and the one Mahout has more resource cost than one Falconet. So, although you're thinking, oh, Ungurs is throwing away his cavalry, you're like, no, Ungurs throwing away his artillery, you're like, oh, hang on a minute. Kevin's Mahouts there cost like 300 wood a piece. They are quite expensive. That's not even including their food base. 5 Gurkha, 8 Gurkha coming out, but I assume they're not veteran. Yeah, there's disciplined Gurkhas coming up behind. And that's a lot of Gurkhas colonial nearby. There's still colonial sours. Out come the veteran skirms here from Ungurs, just taking military trades where he can, just constantly forcing Kevin to react. And the thing is, I think this is working well because Kevin hasn't got the time to kind of stabilize in the next stage. He's just having to cling on to what he has. But now with villagers away from the town centre, if they want to get into the town centre, they have to go through like this kind of skirm avenue of death. So I guess they have to run away. No great coats, tough to get as the Asian civilizations. Minutemen being called Ottomans this time. 1 Mahout in queue, but there's a lot of goons there. He really needs the Gurkhas to whittle away the goons, but those Gurkhas have been somewhat bullied already. The key theme behind this is just Ungurs is keeping that Dragoon mass alive. Like, as the Dragoons are still alive, there's not really too much for Ungurs can do, because he has this large mobility, availability. So if something does happen, he can just get out of there and not lose his entire army. But the skirms have remassed quite impressively since the amount of times he's lost his infantry mass. Did have the double rack step in the H2 play of the early crossbows. Townsend goes down, villagers do evacuate, but we're now on a 2 town centre to 1 advantage there for the French player. And look at all these housing, look at all these rich pickings there for the French player. And he isn't under no rush to jump into India's base. He's just happy to take everything down here in the middle. Save all barracks, that's 400 wood. All these houses, that's like 600 wood. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times by 80. It's still around about 650 wood. That's tough to replace, and we'll probably see everybody here all hands on wood chopping duties, it may seem. Kevin's calling Urumi. Do you just try and YOLO Swaggins and go to the 4th age, just try and get some super strong units? But it's going to be very expensive to rebuild all these houses, and you just see how he's having to move all his villagers across, maybe buy at the market a little bit. It's not what he wants. Yeah, good shot, Animus. Training Falcons and Siege Elephants are not even on the floor yet is risky. That's the thing, like, sometimes when I'm playing, like, I guess Dutch or other civs, I'm thinking, do I go artillery and train artillery? I'm thinking, sometimes I feel that it's just better to train more skirm goon, like more goons to cover a cavalry push, and then you have more resources left over there for the skirms instead of the artillery building and then the falconets it produces. So you kind of still have the more anti-infantry because you have just more skirms and you just have more cover and more mobility. So going for the artillery foundry in itself was an interesting play, but it kind of forced Kevin to kind of dive bomb some of his armies a few times, and the goons went to town on the Mahouts and Sours. There's the Mansabdar Gurkha. Look at him. A sergeant's leading his platoon of men. God, this game looks good up close, doesn't it? Up close, it looks absolutely close. And I'll tell you what, I had a message on Discord. Somebody said, "Oh, Harrison, I'm a big fan. Do you know if there's going to be any more the Asian Dynasties tournament?" I'm like, no. Lol. Why on earth would we host a tournament on Tad now? Like, why would you do that? Why would you do that when you got this game? It runs so smooth, it plays better, the servers are better, live spectating is still decent. Everything I want is here for games, and Ungurs pushing in, score, lead decisive. Do we have any upgrades for skirmishes here from Ungurs? He is actually sending team range infantry attack. Wilderness Warfare is also an interesting shout here. I probably would have gone for Wilderness Warfare, but still, this is 15% attack, so it's still really good in that sense. Goons going backline. We have Dragoons chasing Yurumi, actually. So Yurumi usually chase the Dragoons, and there we go. They're actually going onto the Goons, but actually the Cuirassiers kind of come in and go, Yurumi, come here, please. And the Cuirassiers are going to hard counter these units. The Skirm War is just winning easily for Ungurs, picking off the Mantabdar first, and then just outnumbering and outclassing behind. And the Kevin calls a GG, and Ungurs 2-0 versus Kevin. Kevin having to leave us at this stage of the tournament. Sad to see, but Ungurs is the man on the rise. He is the man in form, and he will move on to the semi-finals. GG's been called. Really good games from these. I really enjoyed them. Might be that neither of these players do play the Ottomans. Maybe a gentleman's agreement. I don't know. We'll see if the Ottomans come back in the later rounds. But Era Mirror game of the game. Such a good game. This was a good game. Let's say it was still a really good game, but that Era Mirror was a quality game. Just pushing on the first card as the agent comes in. India's just weak on the age up there. I know India does have double set Minutemen, Otto Minutemen, Consulate, Hussar, Mahout on the age up, 2 tanky Elephant Explorers, but they have a lot of units upgrades, and the Falconets, and then the 5 Dragoon shipment was a very quick reinforcement to the battle. It just helped Ungurs a lot. When Kevin smashed in, it was a decent trade, but just Ungurs was already set up in the third age, and just infrastructure was set down and was just pumping out units, and Kevin just could not keep up. Villager population, as expected, India having a few more villages, but obviously these are CDBs, so that as in terms of quality, they're a bit more. And Ungurs' economy is probably a little bit better. Unsure if Kevin got the wood trickle in the end, but the economy doesn't lie. Ungurs is in a pretty decent position at that point. Right.